We all saw it. Knocked the Sprite off his head, all that shit, like it was crazy. Like, well, I'll let you start because I want to hear what you have to say, and then I'll give my words.
All right. So what I want to say is we gotta we gave Kamaru Usman his respect, but to the people that are still talking shit on him and the casual fans, I guess, you have to give the man his respect. He put motherfucking Masvidal in a coffin and put his dick in the dirt and knocked him stiff, and it put him 6 feet under. And there's nothing that a motherfucker could say about it now. No toe stomps, no holding him against the fence and pressing him. No, he knocked his ass out clean. He knocked the motherfucking sweat and hydration off of his ass thoroughly, strongly, and everything. So I just feel like everything is just good. I think everything is just. I'm gonna let you guys speak for a little bit.
I feel you, man. Like I can say that. Like he definitely came through and delivered. We definitely saw how Usman, like he came through. He didn't, like Lau said, there was no foot stomps, there was no snooze fest, there was no snooze fest 2021. He with the card, the way the card was already, there was so much, it was so amped up. And this was like remind the listeners as well that this was like the first UFC fight with fans since COVID-19.
True.
So like the energy was so high. And I mean, the casual fan may have rolled the dice thinking it would be a snooze fest, but Kamaru came through and he just outclassed, even though like, I think the one thing, granted he did win due to stand up, the one thing I would say is like Kamaru's with every fight, Kamaru's getting better, and even he said so. And I think after watching this fight, I think he'll recognize there's some holes even in his stand up that he'll go back through, because there was certain things he was doing in stand up that kind of looked like, hey, if
in that first round, right?
Yeah, it was certain points where he's like he had his guard open and he had his head down. I'm like, well, we know Masvidal is going to try to go for a knee. So it's like he had his number that night, but it's just one of those things where he'll just keep tightening up his game, which is going to make him scarier within the division.
Yeah. So my bad, Nigel. I agree with your takes, man. I think one thing that we have to acknowledge, what a lot of people is not acknowledging, is that so like, Masvidal say that, he didn't respect Usman striking, his stand-up, his power, blah, blah, blah. Good on him, because he learned a very hard and real-life lesson. Yeah. So, but what I want to say is, in that fight, like especially in the first round, Usman kept touching his legs. He kept feinting the takedown and stuff like that. He kept threatening it. But Usman was cracking him with a straight. Well, he was cracking him with a jab throughout that first round. And Masvidal, he just kept sticking his tongue out, like, that shit don't fucking hurt. And Usman was kind of like, all right, motherfucker, we're going to see as this fight come along. I'm going to get you with one that you're not going to be doing that. And the one that got with him ended up, he made a fucking meme out of Masvidal. So to me, I just think that, we have to respect Usman's now, his striking, because now, yes, he's not going to come in there and be a phenomenal boxer, but he got the fundamentals and he can mix it up really well. Because remember when he took down Masvidal, he didn't even take Masvidal down off of shooting on him. He fucking gripped his ass up in
planted his ass down
and planted his ass down. Exactly. So it wasn't like
I was impressed.
This dude, yes, I was impressed too. My bad, Nigel. My bad, man.
No, you're good, because everything you were saying was important. And it's funny enough, because I saw something on Twitter where they had shown Kamaru Usman moved Jorge Masvidal's hand out the way, and then he caught him with the right. So that's showing that his striking is getting to a point where he can do that. Now, mind you, I believe Jorge Masvidal did not take this fight seriously at all. And I think that his training was probably lackluster. I think that plays a role in here, because don't get me wrong, Jorge Masvidal, he goes in there, he talks shit, he sticks his tongue out, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, cool. But he got caught bad, like real bad. I think the last time I saw Jorge Masvidal get caught like this was when Michael Chiesa put him down a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like, Jorge Masvidal, he might be a lot of things, but he's not a slouch. And it's like, wow, like, we either need to give Kamaru Usman a hell of a lot more credit for his striking, or we need to say, hey, Jorge Masvidal, you need to like, shape up for your next fight, which in this case, I think we can do a little bit of both.
I was going to say, my bad. Go ahead, Spence. Go ahead, man.
Well, I was going to ask you, because I didn't really keep up with everything throughout the week. Why do you think that Masvidal didn't take the fight too serious? Like in terms of like in preparation?
In my opinion, I don't think he took it seriously because it seems like he was trying to buy his way out of or already convince the people, hey, if he loses, it's all right. Saying, hey, if you weren't there for me when I was 45 and 50, don't be there for me when I was like 49 and 48 or some shit like that. Like, it's just like you're pretty much already predicting your loss. Like, it just seems kind of weird for fighters to do that when they're heading into a championship fight. You know what I mean?
I think that motherfucker Masvidal knew that he couldn't fuck with Usman. I think he knew. And I'm going to say that because, like, if you look throughout the fight, he kept selling this whole thing about, like, oh, his softest punch, it must hurt for a man to know that he don't got it in him to put somebody's lights out. And then he even said it when Joe Rogan was interviewing, oh, we was just worried about the wrestling. You worried about the wrestling. And I'm like, look, dude, kudos to you for being humble. But at the same time, like, let's be real. Any elite fighter is going to expect every aspect of the game. Like, we know Kamaru Usman is a legitimate threat when it comes to grappling and wrestling. He has 100% takedown defense. That says a lot for somebody, when it comes to fucking grappling. Now, you're telling me that your whole game plan and your whole thing was going to be fucking wrestling after this guy. He knocked out Kobe Covington. He knocked out Gilbert Burns. You sitting there and you're sleeping on his striking. Like, I think
you're right though. That's a very valid point.
I think
that's true.
I think he was just selling a narrative. I was telling Nigel, I can't remember, it was last night or early in the week, but I was telling him, I was like, man, it looked like he was just like, hey, I'm in here for another payday. I'm getting a title fight. And I'm not saying that Masvidal threw the fight or nothing. No, I think he clearly got his ass beat fair and square. But I think he knew, like, it's like it's going to take for Usman to make a mistake for him to knock him out. Because Usman was making mistakes in that, and towards the end of the first round when he was like winging them fucking hooks and overhand rights and shit. And I'm like, somebody with more precise striking could shoot right down the barrel and at least crack Usman with a few shots. Masvidal wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing that. And I don't think he was doing that because, he didn't see it or nothing like that. I think he was doing that because he knew, like, he was going to give himself up a takedown or something like that. He knew he couldn't fuck with Usman, man. He talked his way into this championship fight, and Usman proved why he was the better fighter. And what happened last year with him getting 50-43 or whatever, it doesn't matter, toe stop or not. He wasn't beating Usman, man. He just wasn't. I just thought a whole lot of credit to Usman because I thought it was going to take Usman to put him away in the 4th or 5th round.
I didn't think it's going to happen.
I didn't know Usman was going to put him away in the 2nd. And it wasn't like from some lucky ass overhand right praying for the best. No, he hit him with a straight right. After what Nigel said, it looked like he threw a bullshit jab, but he really caught his hand to crack him because Masvidal was throwing left hooks and shit like that. That if you watch the fight, that's what Masvidal was doing to counter Usman's jab, the left hook. And he grabbed the fucking hand and jammed his ass. Like he knew. Yeah. He bit his lip and everything because he knew. He's like, yeah, motherfucker. This is the one. Here goes some melatonin.
I'm proud of Kamaru Usman, man. Like, I'm just like, wow. Like, you put his ass to sleep. You evaporate or what? Took the moisture out of his head. Like, all that shit. Like, it was fucking great. Baptized him. Like, kudos to him, man.
I was hyped, man, because like Masvidal, he was talking a lot of shit, man. A whole lot of fucking shit. He was saying, like, this guy punches soft. All I have is a bruised pinky. He's not man like me. This Nigerian dude from Africa, he ain't got nothing on me. No, man, this guy was talking so much fucking shit. And I'm like, how fucking poetic is it? The street Jesus guy who's claimed to be the vicious, violent knockout got violently and viciously knocked out last night.
Yeah, like I mean, it's all full circle. Like it's all full circle because you did realize that even Masvidal said he had his number. Like he had his number, and like there's nothing else to be said but that. Like he had his number, and there was nothing that he can do about it. It doesn't matter what game plan he could have came up with. Even whatever game plan he had wasn't efficient enough. And just the knockout in itself. Like I was going through my phone and I just saw different people I didn't even know who watched the UFC like that were just saying like, "Yo, this was like one of the best fights I've ever seen." And I think this knockout that Usman just delivered to Masvidal is going to be the one of the career changing fights for him, because I think this is about to allow him to ascend into that next level, because we already know at the pace that he's going, more than likely, because Dana's already said he wants to give Kobe the next fight with Usman, and I personally believe it's going to be a repeat of last time. If anything, probably more on the ground as well. But at this rate, they're saying like he's looking to be hitting the streak. He might end up breaking the streak of Anderson Silva at the pace that he's going, and which could arguably put him as one of the greatest of all time. So and not now, but I mean, there's so much more that has to be said and done before you can get that to get that title of the GOAT. But at the pace that he's going, he's looking to ascend. He's ascending into another level of greatness, as well as now having the pride of like the country on his back, Africa as well as in the States.
Well,
I mean, he's pound for pound number one right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is pound for pound number one. And I think if he keeps on losing, or I'm sorry, if he keeps on winning, we're going to have to really talk about him in like a different echelon of like fighters and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like he's doing things. Lau said it last night. GSP wasn't going around knocking people out like that. Not on a consistent basis. And he just knocked out his last two opponents. You know what I mean? Like dominating, you know, like just really doing things. He's about to beat some records. Like we're gonna have to start talking about Kamaru Usman differently if he wins like one or two more fights. That's just it. You know, like people really need to respect him.
Absolutely. So I got a question for you guys before we move on. So with that being said, right, we said what we had to say about Usman. I think we all can agree that Masvidal, as long as Usman is the champion, he'll never have a championship fight again. Unless it's like through the luck of the MMA gods and he just clears out. He fights whoever Dana puts in front of him moving forward.
Yeah, he's not that lucky.
Exactly. So I wanted to know what, based off what we saw last night, what do you think is the best option for Masvidal moving forward?
I was thinking about this a lot, and in my personal opinion, I think Masvidal should take a little bit of a break. I don't think he necessarily needs to stop fighting, but it's like, hey, you got knocked out cold last night. You know what I mean? And if you say that's because of lack of preparation, that's all on you. That's all a mental thing. You know what I mean? It's not like you were injured. You went in there and you got beat badly. So it's like, in my opinion, I think he's made a little bit of money. He's not going to get another title shot soon. He's not moving back down to lightweight. He's not moving up to middleweight, in my opinion. I think he needs to take a break and really figure out some things.
The chapter has closed on the Street Jesus fairy tale. It's over. Usman, he wrote the last chapter and he closed the book and shipped it off. And now Usman is the New York Times best-selling author because he put a twist in the end to that fucking story. So I think Masvidal has one more big money fight payday left in him, and it's against Leon Edwards or Nate Diaz, the loser of that fight, of course. I think the winner of that fight is going on to fight the winner of Kobe and Usman. The loser, they could, do some marketing machine type shit, and they could make Masvidal look glorious, and he could get one more big payday. But his title thing, his dreams and hopes, he's like you guys kind of alluded to, he has to clear out the fucking division, which I just don't think he has the style to. You know what I mean? He lost to Usman twice. I don't think people remember this, but he lost to Wonder Boy. You know what I mean? At this point, I don't know if he could beat Kobe. Not saying that Kobe will knock him out, but I think Kobe can just out wrestle him.
Styles.
Yeah. So Masvidal, I think he should take the loser of the loser of Nate and Edwards. But I think if he fights again, he needs to fight later in the year, probably like November, December. He doesn't need to rush into another fight so soon. He needs to recover. He needs to go back to his coaches and he needs to evolve his game. Like give up the whole street Jesus, I'm a thug. I'm trying to be like Connor and Versace Rope. Give all that shit up, man. Go back to the dungeon and work on your craft because the time is up. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, like I mean, I think you guys make both good points. I agree. I do agree. Like he probably does need to take a break, as well as even if that break is from what's now April. So even if the break is from now to like sometime later in the year, I think that'll help him. And I agree. Like even if Nate Diaz loses that fight against Leon Edwards, that probably will be his best opponent to go against because they can run it back for this make believe title of the BMF. Or if all of that fails, and if that all of that fails, he could always get a payday trying to fight like Jake Paul or somebody. To be honest with you, like
I mean, he was supposedly training him.
Oh, he was.
You don't remember he was supposedly training him for the Ben Askren fight? They were
I didn't.
Quote unquote talking on the phone.
Hey man, listen, that might be the fight to make because I mean we already know DC's not fighting him, despite DC did confront Jake Paul last night. So like that might be a viable option. Like, did you guys